It's time for another Nebraska Prep Zone report. We are sponsored today by MD West One, Nebraska's most advanced sports medicine, orthopedics, neurosurgery, and spine care, covering Greater Omaha for over 70 years. I'm your host, Jake Anderson, and we are joined today by special guest Stu Pospisil. How are you doing today, Stu?
I'm good. I'm guessing I may lose that special guest title soon enough. So
Well, we
we'll
are
see how
glad
this
to have
goes.
you. We're glad to have you today for Nebraska high school football playoffs. We're going to preview Class A and B. Let's start off right at the top there with the surprise, Kearney against Elkhorn South.
Well, it was the game of the year last week with Kearney coming into Bellevue West, where they had lost big the first time about a month ago. Total shocker, 41-40 in overtime. Each team had missed 2 extra points in regulation, including Bellevue West, which had tied the game. The Thunderbirds had scored twice in the last 6 minutes to get to the tie. The snap on the PAT kind of bounced back. The timing was off, got blocked, so you go to overtime at 33-33. Bellevue West scores pretty easily, makes the extra point. Kearney, first play, touchdown, and they go for 2. And on a double handoff reverse, the guy gets inside the pylon for the win, the upset of the year. And guess what Kearney gets? Another trip to Omaha and another rematch with Elkhorn South. Can they do it again?
How do they match up with Elkhorn South?
Well, it was overtime the first time. Elkhorn South had a chance to, if I remember right, it was about 14-0 in the second quarter, and Elkhorn South had a chance to put the game away. They had gone with their number 2s for a time, lost some momentum. Kearney got momentum back, went to overtime at 21s. Elkhorn South was on offense first, made the extra point, and then forced a fumble on Kearney's first play from the 10 in overtime to preserve the 28-21 win. So, this game is, even perhaps more of a toss-up, certainly than last week, because who would have figured that Kearney would have made up 35 points on Bellevue West? Here, they know that they will be in the game with the Storm.
Yeah. What are the Storm last week? They beat Lincoln Southeast. What do they need to do to keep rolling?
Elkhorn South, Jake, it's kind of like a basketball team that doesn't have a double-digit scorer. Guy Rosenberg, his coaching methodology this year is to go by committee, other than Dylan Krause at quarterback, who's been the stabilizer throughout, but they've got a stable running backs, they got stable receivers. Nobody's put up big numbers, but they are winning behind their massive front line, and their defense has been solid all year. They shut Southeast down, and that was going to kind of be, how they were going to win that game. And you had 2 good defenses on the field, but Elkhorn South had the better offense, which is why they're in the semifinals.
Yeah, let's move to the other side of the bracket, and that 2 seed, those Warriors probably have to be thinking, why were we the 2? They've got a matchup with Millard South this week. What are you looking at there?
Remember that these seeds were done by committee, and I'm pretty sure that they did not want to think of a Bellevue West Millard South game that soon. So that's why Westside with Millard South ended up this way. Some people are going to say the winner's going to be the state champion. I don't think you can proclaim that yet, but they are the 2 highest ranked teams. I think it's going to be interesting to see how Millard South uses Gage Stinger in conjunction with TJ Urban. We were talking off air about Nebraska's situation. Stinger is a very good wide receiver, but we've seen him play quarterback at times, and TJ Urban's gone out to the wing, and they've played pitch and catch that way. Westside, excuse me, they're capable of doing that too, and they may have save some of this for these last couple games. But you've got Colby Brown, a junior, Chris Brown, the Nebraska kicker from the late 90s. That's his kid. He's going to be replacing Cole Payton next year, quarterback. But they've at times have shown formations where Payton's been out wide and Brown's taken snaps. I think you're going to see both teams try and use some form of those plans in this game, and I think it's going to be very interesting.
Obviously, Westside has a ton of weapons this year. How does Millard South hold them in check?
I think it's got to come down to line play. They've got to try and keep Dom Rizak, especially from getting the 3-4 yards that keep you in rhythm ahead of the sticks. You've got Brett, you've got Dickerson, you've got Rizak, you've got other guys that are have stepped up at receiver. At the start of the year, Westside's receiving core had been so good for the past few years that they had to have other guys kind of fill in, and Brett certainly has stepped up. Dickerson has been much more an offensive threat this year than last year, where he was primarily a superb defensive back, and that's where he's going to be playing for the Gophers next year. But Millard South is going to have to be opportunistic. They're going to have to force a couple turnovers and create long field. They've with Lamo as punter and place kicker, I'd say they rate a slight edge in the special teams category, and they'll have to certainly not kick to Westside, because I think that's where Westside has the flip advantage is in the return game, especially with Bretts and Dickerson always able to be out there to receive kicks.
Should be two good Class A semifinals. Let's jump to Class B, where there's some new faces. Top of the bracket.
Good.
Yeah. Top of the bracket, Plattsmouth and Aurora.
Well, Plattsmouth hasn't been to the state final since 1979.
Is that a while? That feels like a long time.
Yeah, I was in high school. You weren't around yet, my friend. So the only time Plattsmouth and Aurora have played in the playoffs was in 2013, and it was a 34-28 Aurora win. Aurora was the C1 champion 2 years ago when their enrollment just dropped below the new cutoffs at the time. That was the Baylor Shireman era. It's a new crew now. Aurora had lost 2 games to start the year. One was to North Platte, which turned out to be a solid Class A team. They've won 8 of 9 since starting 0-2. So they've got a head of steam, but so does Plattsmouth. After knocking off top-ranked Bennington last week, 34-28, if I remember right, was the score as well. And Meneses, a running back against Owens for Aurora, whoever's the more productive running back is probably going to lead his team to the win on Friday.
Yeah. And then the other Class B final, and I'm just looking at this, and how weird is it not to have Scott or Waverly or
Norris or –
yeah, Scotts Bluff. It's strange.
This is one you could see it coming early on that there wasn't a definitive favorite. It was going to be kind of a little bit of attrition, a little bit of momentum. And here we have number 4 Elkhorn at number 3 Hastings, and I don't think that they've ever met before in football.
First-time matchup.
Yeah, first-time matchup. Hastings hasn't been in the semifinals since 2000 and hasn't been to the final since they won Class B in 1994.
I was around for both of those.
What?
I was around for both of those.
Good. Elkhorn has not been to the playoffs the 2 previous years because the Antlers were in Class A at the time and now have spun off Elkhorn North. But the Antlers with Coach Mark Wortman trying to be in the finals 11 for the 11th time. And I think this is a great matchup. You got Jared Sinek and his receivers for Hastings. Elkhorn is not the old Elkhorn of strictly an I formation, 2-back set. Wortman has adapted with the times, spread things out more. You've got Grant Gutshout, quarterback. Aiden Young is a 1,000-yard rusher. You got Gannon Gregor, and you've got Drew Crystal, who signed today with Nebraska for baseball. A lot of good athletes on the field. There'll be good footing being on turf out at Hastings College. You'd like to see all 4 games, and you just can't.
Yeah. Where are you going to be at this week?
I'm going to be at Millard South Westside. I haven't seen Millard South in a while. We've got our other writers and papers able to cover, so we should have reports from all 14 semifinals on Friday night across the state.
Yeah, and we'll keep an eye out for your official picks on anyprepzone.com, as well as capsules on all 14 of those games, coverage from Friday night, as well as we'll have signing day coverage throughout the day and takeaways throughout the week. Until next time, thanks for listening.
As the official team doctors for high school and college teams across Greater Omaha, MD West One Sports Med Doctors can get you back into the game stronger than ever. Meet the Sports Med team at mdwest1.com or call 402-390-4111.